So how does President Trump sound? It's a serious question after the celebrity real estate tycoon clobbered the competition in the Indiana Republican primary, forcing his last remaining rivals to drop out of the race, it seems. How did he get this far? Who is he really? How far can he go? Looking ahead, will Hillary Clinton figure him out any better than his Republican rivals didn't? Although her margin is comfortable, she lost Tuesday's Indiana primary to another anti-establishment candidate, Socialist Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Strange election cycle? Or are we witnessing a seismic shift in U.S. politics? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the prospect of a President Trump. We'll be joined from Tabernacle, New Jersey by Sarah Hagmeyer, spokesperson for Students for Trump. We're joined from Washington by a former spokesperson for the Republican National Committee and former senior advisor to Mitt Romney, Kevin Sheridan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And
joining us here in the studio, Célia Bellin, who is a researcher at the University of Paris at Assas. Thank you for joining us. The France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation, and you have on Facebook and Twitter our hashtag F24debate. The whole world is indeed watching. These are images from Russian state television covering Trump's big win in Indiana, coverage that includes Election Day mudslinging as Trump evoked an uncorroborated National Enquirer story that claimed Ted Cruz's father distributed Marxist pamphlets with Lee Harvey Oswald just a few days before the latter shot JFK in Dallas. So mudslinging on a Tuesday, but on a Tuesday night, listen to the same Donald Trump after the results had come in, and it was all sweetness and light suddenly.
All my life, I've been in competitions, different competitions, whether it's sports or business or now for 10 months politics. And I have to tell you that I have met some of the most incredible competitors that I have ever competed against right here on the Republican Party.
Kevin Sheridan, your reaction to what you just heard from Donald Trump on Tuesday night?
It's absolutely unprecedented what we're watching here. Donald Trump was not seen as a serious man or a serious candidate. Less than a year ago, he has been able to capture a sizable portion of the party, about a third of it, and in a very big field. And that was enough to catapult him into that, along with his ability to destroy personally each of his opponents one by one. That was enough to win the nomination for the Republican Party. He's facing a far. He's not in a position where it's a unified party right now, however, and there will still be opposition within the party from a number of people who just can't get behind him.
Who just can't get behind him, and do they include you?
I am not there yet. No, I would not be able to support Donald Trump at this point.
At this point, what would make you change your mind?
Not much. Honestly, I think most people have pretty much made up their mind on him. Well, I'd like to see what he has to say going forward. I think I'd like to see, what his efforts to reach out to the part of the party that didn't vote for him, that would not support him, that don't think he has the temperament for it. But that's up to him, and it's not up to us to try to, just get behind him because he won enough votes. It's up to him to actually reach out to the disaffected parts of the party that, can't support him right now because they have serious temperament issues with him.
Célia Bellin, we heard in that statement where he praised the combativeness of Ted Cruz, this sort of feeling that, all right, I said some nasty things, but the whistle's blown, the game is over, good, let's shake hands.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the logical steps after winning the nomination, even though he has formally not won yet. But he's on his way to clinching the nomination. The president of the Republican National Committee said that he's a natural candidate, that he should win now. And so it's just a good tactic to try and unify the party by saying good things about your opponent, which I must say, so he accused very recently his father of being close to a president's assassin, or he was still calling him a lying Ted only a few days ago. So he's shifting towards a unifier position, but it's going to be difficult.
All right, we can now say hello to Sarah Hagmeyer, spokesperson for Students for Trump. Thanks for being with us here in the France 24 debate. Trump did not spare the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, when he was on the campaign trail. Now Christie's behind him. Are you predicting the same will happen with his other rivals?
Well, we are expecting to. I mean, we are uniting for the fight, so we are expecting that everyone's going to come together and support the nominee.
Everybody here in France, when they speak to us, when they see us, when they find out that we do a debate show in English, they ask us one question: can Donald Trump really be president? Can he, Sarah?
I'm sorry, I didn't pick that up. I think there was a connection
Can Donald
problem.
Trump really be president?
Oh yeah, absolutely, without a question. He is speaking to the people, the American people. He is what we want as our president, and he's getting there. He's close, so he can be president. He has the best track record, and he is an outsider. He's not in politics, so it's what we want, something different.
Kevin Sheridan, the latest poll for CNN that came out showed Hillary Clinton opening up a double-digit lead, more than double-digit, 13 points. Can Donald Trump be president of the United States?
I wouldn't have said yes, 6 months ago, but now anything's possible. I think, he's got a lot of demographic challenges. The Democratic Party has an advantage just going into every presidential race just by the sheer fact there are more Democrats than there are registered Republicans. He's also got an ununified party at the moment, so he's going to have some opposition within the party. But I wouldn't underestimate anything that Donald Trump does, because if it comes down to a test of character between those two, it's hard to say who wins. They're both so unpopular. There's so many negatives against both of them. The problem that Donald Trump has is that he's got historically high unfavorable numbers with women, with millennials, with minorities, with you name it. He's going to have to change the dynamics somehow, and he'll be able to destroy her. I have no doubt about that. He's going to make a very detailed case and very rough case against him. We're going to see a tough campaign coming up.
All right, but first, as we were saying, there's the unification of the party. Ted Cruz, no friend either of the Republican establishment. On Tuesday evening, he insisted that he's not going to fade away.
But hear me now. I am not suspending our fight for liberty. I am not suspending our fight to defend the Constitution, to defend the Judeo-Christian values that built America.
Célia Bellin, Judeo-Christian values that built America. What does he mean?
Well, you know that Ted Cruz has always been on an ultra-conservative trend of the party. He has embraced evangelicals and their political platform, anti-abortion, anti-gay, very conservative in social areas, and he's on the Muslim debate that Trump launched when he proposed a complete and total ban of Muslims following the terror attack in Paris. Ted Cruz has always been quite ambiguous about that, and he has talked very often about the Judeo-Christian roots of America, really putting a difference between, Jewish and Christians on one side and Muslims on the other side. So he's very well into his logical political brand, which is political evangelicalism, if you want.
But we saw in the past Republicans who were Christian conservatives, they didn't shun Muslims as such. We all remember George W. Bush, one of the first things after September 11th, going to visit a mosque.
Right. He had a very unifying position after 9/11. He did a very responsible and courageous position in a way by showing that American Muslims and also any Muslims around the world were not the culprit of this terrible terrorist attack, but that only a specific group of terrorists were responsible. you have a completely different attitude, both from Donald Trump and from Ted Cruz. From day one, they have talked over and over again about, Islamist radicals and more specifically about the danger of the Islamic faith in general, which is what Donald Trump said when he proposed a total and complete ban on Muslims. He basically put the blame of terror attack on the entire Muslim population, whether it's American or foreign.
And has America changed that much in 15 years?
Well, it has some resonance, for sure. After the death of Osama bin Laden and the reciting of Al Qaeda that did seem to appear at the end of at the beginning of 2010, 2011, it seemed that America was growing out of this anguish. And then you had the return of ISIS on the ground in Syria and Iraq, which reignited fears in many American hearts, and with always the idea that President Obama was not really there to protect them. And I think that's the type of positioning that Donald Trump and Ted Cruz both adopted.
All right, one of Trump's early rivals for the nomination weighed in on Tuesday evening, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, stating, "If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it." Sarah Hagmeyer, it doesn't sound like he is going to come around. Neither are several other important senators on Capitol Hill. Your reaction to that?
I mean, if they want another Republican in the White House, we have to unite, and we have to unite for the fight. We don't have a choice. And I think as we all listen and come together, we're going to hear his ideas. We're going to be able to work together, and we're going to be able to tackle Hillary Clinton and, win the White House again.
On that point, Kevin Sheridan, what do you predict for the convention? Will it be an orderly proceedings now that we have now that we know that Donald Trump will get the delegates he needs, or will we see some ugliness between those various wings of the party?
It doesn't appear that we're going to have a contested convention, which is what we were all expecting for the last few months, where no one got the 1237. It looks like he's going to get 1237 on the first ballot. That means he'll be able to, he'll be able to run the convention essentially the way he wants. He'll be able to stage it the way he wants. He's he's an entertainer and he's a showman. So I think we're all interested in seeing what that looks like. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of silent opposition, if not, public opposition to him on the floor.
And Kevin, just explain it for
a lot of people may not come.
Explain it for a world audience. I mean, this is the senior senator from South Carolina putting out a tweet that contests the will of the people within his own party. Why did he do that?
Because the party's not united. The party is simply not united right now. There's a wing of the party that does not see Donald Trump as fit to be president, and Lindsey Graham is one of them. And some of them are doing it on ideological reasons. There are conservative grassroots. Donald Trump, I think, around the world is seen as this ultra-conservative right-winger. He's really not, other than on immigration, on these Muslim issues. He panders to these very hot-button issues. And so I think he gets that reputation around the world, but he's quite liberal on a number of issues. So he's got this kind of kaleidoscope of issue sets, and really he essentially just tells people what they want to hear. And I think that's what's turned off so many people in the party. And right now, it's not a united party. So you're going to hear more than just Lindsey Graham. You're going to hear a lot of people. You might not hear Mitt Romney or George W. Bush or any of the former John McCain. I don't think will come on board. I think there'll be a number of senators who can't do it. So we have to see in the next few weeks who comes out for him and who comes out against him and who stays silent.
Sidia Belam, that's what's happening inside on Capitol Hill. But I looked at the numbers. Indiana, a state that Mitt Romney won with 300,000 votes. Donald Trump had, something like 589,000 votes. Mm-hmm. And by the way, 1.1 million Republicans voted, whereas something like 600,000 Democrats on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Again, that Republican establishment, are they underestimating his power come the fall?
Yes, there's a form of excitement on the part of Republican sympathizers, and you can see that with the Student for Trump, for example, in the support of Trump, but you also have a sort of excitement anti-Trump. So the fact that a lot of people would go to the polls and vote in that particular election in Indiana is representative of the interest that there is around this competition. Also, it was still very undecided, and we knew that Indiana was crucial. So both at the same time, Donald Trump is bringing people to the polls, new people, independent people that have never voted, that's for sure. But he's also turning away a lot of people, moderate Republicans. And I would like to go back on the Lindsey Graham aspect of things. There's a specific brand of conservatism that Lindsey Graham represents, which is neoconservatism, which is a neoconservative foreign policy that appeared in the Reagan administration, that was definitely continued during the Bush administration, Bush Jr. administration. And John McCain or Lindsey Graham are typical representation of this very interventionist foreign policy. And Donald Trump has very few policy positions, but one of them is a clear isolationism, or at least disengagement from the world, a deep mistrust of America's allies in the world. He said that NATO is obsolete. He said that South Koreans and Japanese should pay for their own defense, or at least should contribute more. He's been very critical of America's allies around the world. He's been very sympathetic, or at least understanding, for Russian movements in Eastern Europe, or for Chinese expansionism. So this particular Donald Trump position is rubbing neoconservative absolutely the wrong way.
So what are their options? He's got the nomination locked.
A few of them, like Elliot Cohen this morning, I believe, said that the only option now is the third way, so a third candidate. So you will have a tiny part of the Republican Party or Republican right-wing sympathizers that will push for a third way. In both cases, that should privilege that should favor Hillary Clinton. Or the other option for these neoconservatives is to rally Hillary Clinton. She's known to be a more interventionist Democrat than President Obama, definitely than Bernie Sanders. So they could be accommodated. At least she doesn't want to change the world order in the way that probably Donald Trump wants to.
And let me ask you, we were talking about how much this campaign has mobilized people in the United States. Here in France, ordinary French citizens, how much do they ask you about Donald Trump on a day-to-day basis?
Well, all the time, just all the time, because...
What are they saying?
Donald Trump is entertainment. It's entertainment for Americans, it's entertainment for French people, it's entertainment for everybody. And even the Huffington Post, the American edition, at the beginning said, we will cover him in the entertainment section. He's providing, a form of political entertainment. But at some point, he's going to start to really frighten people. And I think this, the fact that he's clinching the Republican nomination is starting to shift a position away. French people typically don't really understand the Republican Party, and they don't understand ultra-conservatives, for sure, but they tend to be quite uneasy with some of the Republican platforms, pro-gun, for example, or anti-abortion, etc. I suspect that they will continue to be quite surprised by Donald Trump, very interested. They will mock him for all the way he talks and the bizarre things he says. But there will probably be some sort of fascination for this person who was entirely underestimated and who proved everyone wrong, basically.
All right, we're going to pick up on that point. When we come back, stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.